Yo, it's very refreshing to actually get back to talking about some hip hop shit after the last two videos was more so about drama and politics. With that being said, let's talk about Drizzy Drake. I'm not gonna give y'all lore about Aubrey Graham. Everybody knows who Drake is. I wanna focus on Drake in the 2020s. More particularly after the beef in 2024 regarding the big three, Kendrick, Cole, and Aubrey himself. It's fair to say that Drake is the one that suffered the most regarding this beef, and his actions have shown that. The way Drake been moving since the beef has ranged from outright desperate or questionable to downright pathetic, collaborating or associating himself with known racists such as Morgan Wallen or Camille Cabello, continuing or new associations with problematic people such as Ack, the DJ that's not a DJ, and Aiden Ross, shots at LeBron James and his family due to him popping up at the Pop-Out concert, shots in that weird little situation at the basketball game with Derwin Rosen, and of course, the lawsuit against UMG regarding Not Like Us plays, as well as the defamation lawsuit next to that. It's clear that with all those events, Drake is still bothered by the beef and its outcome. This is why when people have issues with the beef still being discussed 2 years later, I roll my eyes at them, because obviously a beef at this magnitude is still a thing, and it's going to be a thing for a long time. The harsh reality and the bigger picture is this: some beef is everlasting. Nasir Jones. And I say beef is everlasting not because it's everlasting between two people. No. I'm saying it that beef is everlasting because the music and the genre and the culture never forgets the beef, especially as big as this one. And what you do after the climax and the outcome of the beef has possibly a larger effect than the beef itself, especially if you're dropping music after the beef. A lot of times it don't really be the beef that ends the career, it's the music and the actions after which. Notable examples of the worst possible outcome: Ja Rule and MGK, the latter in which shortly after switched to another genre after his loss to Eminem. However, there's always a flip side. Make the best music you ever made in your career, you can survive the loss to a beef. Notable examples of that: Jay-Z after Ether, LL Cool J after Second Round KO, 50 Cent after Checkmate in the Game beef. Rick Ross might be the best example of that. When exposed as a fraud in 2009 as well as in a losing beef against 50 Cent, Rick Ross steered his attention to making better music, and in result, he not only produced the biggest record of his career at that time, if not to this day, he's made arguably his best work in his entire career. Nobody was talking about the 50 Cent beef after that. Drake himself is a good example of that good outcome. Despite a humiliating loss against Pusha T in 2018, Drake still managed to retain his top position as the biggest hip hop artist due to hit records like Nice for What as well as In For My Feelings. Yet this time it's different. And you can tell what Drake releases after this beef, the first thing he releases when it comes to albums, might be the most important and most exciting thing in Aubrey's career. Speaking of music, enter ICEMAN. Now before we get into deep delve about the promo around ICEMAN and its release, I want to address the false narrative of Drake's has been absent this past 2 years. While there is some validity to that, the fact of the matter is Drake has been trying to release some songs throughout the whole span post-beef. Whether it be songs from the 100 Gigs documentary, such as It's Up or Circadian Rhythm, to the collaborative album of Party Next Door called Some Love Songs, which if you listen to it, it's essentially Drake featuring Party Next Door, the album. Despite the success of Nokia, the album got mixed reviews by audience and fans alike. And if we're counting these, the leaks, whether intended or not, that Drake has put out over the span of 2 years. So Drake announces now ICEMAN. And he does so by start dropping episodes titled the ICEMAN episodes. Those episodes serve not only to showcase some of the songs from the album, such as What Did I Miss, but also to give more of a theme of where the album is headed and where Drake's mind is at regarding the album process. Now regarding the marketing and the promotion, if clips and Marlon Craft are good examples of how to market an album, Drake unfortunately is the contrast to it. The overall promo of ICEMAN was sloppy. with ICEMAN's episodes not really giving a clear indication, either that or giving the indication that he's not over the beef, to academics doing damage control and giving false release dates and false conversations with Aubrey. It was a mess. It was a mess. But recently, he announced the album at May 16th, and this past Friday, it came out. But wait, there's more. Because Drake didn't release just the ICEMAN album. No. He didn't release 2 albums or a double disc. He released 3 albums, all on the same night. ICEMAN, Maid of Honor, and HABIBTI, if that's pronounced right. Each album serving a different purpose than the other ones. I decided to check it out. If you're looking for a song by song breakdown, this is not going to be. I'm just going to give a quick summary of what I felt about each album. I try to be fair. I listened to the albums multiple times. As long as it was, I didn't want to judge the album's quality off of the other releases from the other 2 of the big 3, Cole and Kendrick. I didn't want to compare the album to the releases that happened this year so far. So I decided to only compare Drake's albums to Drake's past discography and catalog. Most notably, his last solo album, For All the Dogs. Granted, bad album, so very low bar, but I try to be fair. Let's start with the main album, ICEMAN. That's supposed to be the rap album. ICEMAN's a clear indication that Drake is not over the beef at all. Not even a little bit. What started off strong with Make 'Em Cry, it just kept diving down in quality. When it comes to production for the ICEMAN album, sonically, it's one of the lowest of Drake's ever had. 40's absence is clearly evident throughout this whole album. Even Conductor's production was a little bit on the weak side. The only notable production that I really genuinely fucked with was National Treasure, well, at least the first part, and What Did I Miss? Freestyles on that coming soon, by the way. This rap album, Drake gives his best impression of what he thinks a great rapper would sound like. What I mean by that is Drake gives some half-ass punches and some non-in-depth metaphors throughout the whole album. To the untrained eye, it sounds like he's spitting the best he's ever spat in his life. Actual MCs that actually take the time to write down a pen, you see the illusion, you see the fluff. If I can give you a list of all the cringe lines, it will fill up the whole screen twice. Add to the simple fact that he's just taking shots at Kendrick Lamar the whole fucking album, which my problem isn't that he's taking shots, because like I said before, some beef is everlasting. My problem is that he just keeps sounding the exact same as the last song, and the song before, and the song before. He has a song with Future, and it's the weakest collaborations he's ever done. How the hell in the same year you've dropped the weakest collaboration with Future and the weakest collaboration with 21 Savage? That's crazy. He doesn't also just take shots at Kendrick. He takes shots at DJ Mustard in a poor attempt of recreating Squabble Up, by the way. He takes shots at Rick Ross, Joe Budden, LeBron James, again, A$AP Rocky, Rihanna, J. Cole, which I called, by the way, especially called it out in my unreleased diss track about J. Cole. I probably should release that. Sounds like all that glazing and damage control you did for Aubrey did not help out, did it, Jermaine? He even takes shots at Jay-Z, which is crazy because Jay-Z came to his defense in his earlier interview this year. Overall, the album itself is dull. He sounds dejected, sounds bitter. This album could have been much more and much more in depth, but he doesn't. He's too focused on the beef and how he feels betrayed to go into more detail about that. Add to the, once again, the fake tough mob bravado talk, and it's the same bullshit album we get from Drake in the past several years. It's better than For All the Dogs, but just because the past album was a light 2 and the current album is a medium 4 doesn't mean that the current album is good. And what the sad part is? It's the best album of the 3. Maid of Honor, the supposed club pop record, is a fucking mess. It's supposed to be the follow-up to Honestly Nevermind, which if you heard that album, you can see why the title is very fitting. Drake, again, with the cringe lyrics and the cringe Sexy Red feature. Seriously, stop doing features with Sexy Red. Drake either doesn't contribute to the vibes of each song throughout the album, or he's the worst part, especially when features are around. Cheetah Print is fucking egregious and definitely is one of Drake's worst songs ever. bar none. It sounds like he's making a soundtrack for the next season of Euphoria, or this season of Euphoria, because it might as well fits the whole theme of that one. Then we get to the last album, HABIBTI. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Which is supposed to be an R&B album. It's not an R&B album. It's an album that honestly is an insult to the R&B genre. Habib is basically Drake's attempt to recreate what he did in the side B of Scorpion, which already was a poor attempt in itself. All the songs are boring. The singing is atrocious, even with the auto-tune. At least Scorpion had Nice for What and In My Feelings. This doesn't have anything of that caliber. The only saving grace is the almost great song, Classic. Classic in itself is not a classic. When I first heard Classic, I was entranced. He was singing, he had to move correctly, lyrics weren't too bad, and looked like he was leading up to a big bonanza, to a solid R&B track that is reminiscent of the 90s sound. Before he got to that big bang and got everybody completely hooked and me sold on his song, he switched the beat, put a sample on it, and let it continue to the end of the song. That song right there is the prime example of my core issue, or one of them, with Aubrey. I'm gonna say something that people don't really think about, but I want y'all to follow me on this one. Drake treats and approaches his music and his fan base exactly how he approaches the women in his life and on his records. Follow me on this one. Him, at almost 40, still tries to appeal to a younger, more impressionable audience and demographic. Take that as you may. Whether it's his production in the past several years, his raps for the past several years, or his overall projects, he doesn't put much effort into it and halfway commits to it. He's not dedicated to the music as he used to be. And when he gets criticism for his music, he gaslights his audience into thinking that they should be lucky to even hear him because he's so great. Do y'all see the connection? This is not new hate. A lot of people want to blame Kendrick Lamar and the beef for why people had this new uprising hate for Drake. But it was always there and it was always building. In the past several years, the last 8 years, if I'm being generous, Drake has regressed as an artist and also as a man. From his lines, song concepts, and even albums being similar to Red Pill and Manosphere adjacent talking points, randomly dissing family as well as random black women such as Meg Thee Stallion and Ice Spice, as well as Serena Williams and Whitney, of course, who his overall demeanor and behavior when in response to Adversary. The ironic part of Drake releasing that album, because I'll give him credit because he definitely released those 3 albums as an attempt to get out of his UMG deal. But what he doesn't realize is that there is no excuse for why I have 3 albums that are an hour plus long. None of the albums are good or worth going back to. This album reveals something deeper, and it really symbolizes who Drake is as a person. He's a person that's clinging to his past accomplishments. Even throughout ICEMAN album, he constantly talks about what has he done, what he's done for the game, what he's contributed, who he brought in, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. Drake clings to something to feel special. It's a similar nature to these Red Pill and Manosphere guys. They cling to a fantasy, hoping that if they perform that fantasy long enough, it becomes reality. While Drake hops on every sound, this is why Drake clings to the mob bravado and the gangster lifestyle. He's not comfortable in his own skin anymore. He doesn't look in the mirror anymore. And he hasn't for a while either. Drake represents a person that doesn't grow and never grows, even at the age of 40. It's kind of funny, because I'm thinking about Nas, that I referenced Nas earlier. He's in his second childhood, or matter of fact, he might be even more childhood, like 3rd or 4th. Drake represents the guy that feels so out of touch, he has to go to the younger audience to feel like he's special. He's the guy that peaked in high school. He's the old dude at the club. He's not really that old, he's just too old to be in the club. He that uncle at the family reunion that's flirting with the younger family members. He's that guy, that weirdo guy, that honestly should be acting this age and should already have a whole family and a dynasty behind. Instead, he clings to his legacy And now that has got damaged due to the beef with Kendrick. He's trying to put everything he can to hopefully get his position back. That's all he has left. The Drake that we knew is gone. He's always been gone. The introspection that we loved him for turned into deflection. The insecurities that he embraced and hopefully shared so other people can learn from it turned into vanity. The insight in his life has been reduced to nothing but shallow puddles. Drake is what happens when you do not evolve as a person, and how that reflects in your music. And don't get it confused, there's plenty of people that do what he do, but Drake is the biggest example in recent years. There's several people that you know in your real life that is in their 30s or in their 40s and they still act the same way they did in high school or in college. They never took the time to reflect. They never took the time to look in the mirror and see their own mistakes. Instead, they rather shift blame. Instead, they rather talk about what they did, the good old days. Whether it be the OGs in the hood, whether it be that friend that you stopped messing with because he was too problematic. With that being said, I want to talk to the fans real quick. The diehard fans of Drake. Not the people who like a couple songs of Drake, not the people who used to like Drake's music back then, like myself. The people who ride him hard. What about him makes him so appealing to y'all still? Because he doesn't rap as good as he used to. He doesn't make the compelling music like he used to. And he definitely doesn't even have the ability to make a catchy record anymore. He'll get lucky from time to time. Nokia is a good example. But if you've been dropping 20 hit records and only one of them hit, that's an L. So what about him is appealing to y'all still? Why are y'all so dedicated to this man? Because y'all are the part of the problem, unfortunately. And I do notice that there's a lot more Drake fans that's giving criticism to these albums. But there's still a good portion of people that calls everything Drake says is a classic. Y'all don't keep him accountable. If more fans kept him accountable, he might make better content. Then y'all enable his behavior. Why are y'all so attracted to Drake's content as of lately, these past 5 years? What about it? I feel like what we as artists could do is learn to be yourself. Be genuinely yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin. Don't let what's popular destroy your artistic integrity. Don't let your fan base make you. What did Diamond from Players Club say? Make the money, don't let the money make you. The money made Drake. The culture made Drake. Not from there. But he needs to cling to it because that's the only way he feels important to himself. As a man, love yourself, bro. Take accountability for yourself. You don't want to be 40 years old and still trying to feel like everybody's against you. And everything that's happened bad to you is because of everybody else. Bro, learn from your mistakes. Take some time off. Reflect. Don't get lost to the sauce. Don't lose the plot. Because Drake did. And you see what happened to him. He's in a lifelong battle with himself. And no amount of money, and no amount of status, and no amount of materialistic things can save your soul. And that's real. But thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for checking out the video. Some freestyles are coming soon, if I don't get copyrighted. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the other videos. It helps your boy out with the algorithm. More stuff is coming through. More music is coming through. Thank y'all for watching. Stay blessed up, and peace.